Hello everyone, welcome to College Gin. So today we are going to perform some activities which will help you to start your journey with cloud platform which is underlying on Microsoft Azure. That is the as per the name, that is a product of Microsoft. So today we will create a virtual machine on Microsoft Azure, and we will see how we can create, how we can access that virtual machine, and then we will try to explore some components of virtual machines like disk, like sizing of the virtual machine. Then we will see the pricing tier as well. So this topic we are going to cover today. So let's start the session. So if we want to create a virtual machine in Microsoft Azure platform, first of all we have to take a subscription in Microsoft Azure. Now the point is here is, what is a subscription and why should we require this? Now the subscription, this basically this is a billing tier. That means when you take a subscription on a Microsoft Azure portal, you commit or you inform to Microsoft that if I use any resource on Microsoft Azure, then you will charge me, I will pay you for that particular resources using this subscription or using this account. Say for example, if you want to avail the service of Netflix, if you want to avail the service of Google Workspace, then you have to take a subscription. You have to pay a certain amount to Netflix. Based on that subscription or based on that amount, Netflix provide you a certain number of resources, a certain number of facilities in its platform. Similarly, in Microsoft Azure, the subscription is like that. If you want to create one resource, if you want to use one resource from Microsoft Azure Cloud platform, then you have to mention that billing account, from which account you will pay to Microsoft for a particular service. So if you want to create a virtual machine, or if you want to avail some resource, if you want to use some resource on cloud platform, first you have to create one subscription. Now the concern is, if you are using Microsoft Azure for the first time, so Microsoft will provide you one free subscription with a certain number of credit amounts. It's like $100. So using that $100, you can explore Microsoft Azure, you can use Microsoft Azure services so that you become handy on Microsoft products. Later on, you can avail the service of Microsoft Azure, you can migrate your on-premises environment on Microsoft Azure, and you can use that. When your subscription credits, that is $100 US dollar, that will be consumed, then you have option. See, sometime what happened, some of IT professionals or some of the beginners who are just starting their journey with Azure, so they have a concern. The concern is, if I create a Microsoft free account, free subscription on Microsoft Azure portal, and I consumed that $100 of credit within 3 days, within 4 days, within 1 month, then what will happen? Whether Microsoft will charge after that consumption, that means after that completion or after that consumption of the credit amount, whether they will charge me if I consume $100 and still I am using one virtual machine on Microsoft, or one VPN gateway in Microsoft, one public IP on Microsoft, one storage account on Microsoft, whether Microsoft will charge me automatically? The answer is no. Microsoft will not charge until you confirm that yes, I want to pay for this even after my credit amount will be consumed. What Microsoft will do, he will just stop the service, that's it. He will not charge you until you confirm him that yes, I want to avail this service, I want to pay for this even after my free tier will be ended, right? So here I have created one free account to perform this activity. In our next session, I will show you how to create a free subscription and how you can utilize that $100 and how you can explore this Microsoft Azure portal. So now we are going to create a virtual machine. For that, first log in into the Microsoft Azure portal. So you can log in into two ways. Either you can use the Microsoft Azure application in your desktop, or you can use the browser. So for browser, just open any of your browser. Say for example, here I open my Chrome browser. Now I'll simply type portal.azure.com. I just simply enter. It will redirect me to the login page. I have to enter the credentials, so my application will open, my Azure portal will open. The second option is, we have an option that is Microsoft Azure portal application. Okay, so that is also available in Google Chrome as an extension. So to create a virtual machine, first open the Microsoft Azure portal. Then here is a search box. In the search box, simply type virtual machines. Click on the virtual machine. You will navigate to the virtual machine dashboard. On the left side corner, there is an option create. Just click on that. Select Azure virtual machine. So it will navigate you in a template. Why this template is required? Say for example, if you want to create a server in your on premises, so you have to mention certain configuration things like how much memory you want to assign that machine server, how many virtual core you required, what will be the disk size, what will be the IP address of that virtual machine, what will be the networking of that virtual machines, and what will be the password of that virtual machines, what will be the operating system of the virtual machines, and apart from that, the management of that virtual machine, that is backup, monitoring, and all these things. So in Microsoft Azure also, you have to mention these things to create a virtual machine. So based on that, you can provision in cloud. Just make a note, in cloud, if you want to create a virtual machine, if you want to create any kind of services, so that term here we use as provision. That means you are provisioning one virtual machine on Azure cloud. Okay, that is the perfect term for a cloud. So to create a virtual machine, I have just click on the virtual machine tab. Then there are some basic details. The first thing is subscription. As guys I have mentioned earlier, first you have to mention from which account, which billing account you are going to pay for this service, for this virtual machine. That you have to mention first. So now here for me, I have a free trial. I have just select the trial. Next option is resource group. So this is a very good option which is available in Microsoft Azure, that is resource group. What is it actually? So before moving forward to resource group, let's assume one scenario in your real day-to-day work. Okay, say for example, in your personal computer, in your personal PC, laptop or personal desktop, so you have some files which are of Excel, you have some files which are of words, you have some movies, you have some musics, you have some personal documents like your credit card details, like your bank account details, all these things. Now think one scenario that you have created one drive in your personal desktop or personal laptop, whether it is a D drive, you have keep all these documents inside that. That's it. Now say for tomorrow, if you want to search one music, then you have to search that particular music from this entire drive where your every type of documents are kept: Excel, Word, PowerPoints, slides, then musics, then videos, then some of your personal documents, PDFs, blah blah blah. Next, think one another scenario where what you have done, you have created one drive, say for example D drive. Inside D drive you have created multiple folders: one folder with the name of Excel, one folder with the name of PowerPoint, one folder with the name of Word files, one folder you have created with the name of music, one folder with the name of video, one folder with the personal documents, and you have kept all the relevant documents in its respective folders. That means you have kept all your Excel file in the Excel folder, all your Word file in the Word folder, all your musics in music folder. Now say for tomorrow, if you want to listen a music, particular music, you no need to search in the entire drive. What you will do, you will just open the drive, you will navigate to the folder with the name of music, you will search the music only in the folder, that's it. So that is much more easier, much more structured. Alright. So in the resource group in Azure, Microsoft Azure is similar. Say for example, you are hosting multiple applications for your organization in Microsoft Azure. Say for example, you are creating one e-commerce application, you are creating one employee training application, you are creating one attendance application. Now using resource group, what you can do, you can keep relevant resources under a resource group. That means if you are creating one application with the name of attendance application, so you just create a resource group with the name of attendance application and keep all the resources associated to that particular application inside this resource group. So it will help you in the future to assess your portal. That means if say for example tomorrow if you want to check, I want to see how much cost I am paying for my attendance application, then you just need to go to the resource group and you can check the consumption report of that particular resource group. So that will be the cost of your attendance application. Okay, so here I have selected the subscription. Now I want to create a web server, IIS. So I am creating one resource group with the name of web server. Click on this. That means for this web server, whatever services I will avail from Microsoft, that I will keep inside this resource group. So what is the benefit? I'll discuss later. I'll elaborate you in the next slide or next session. Okay. Next, the name of the virtual machine. So we are creating a server 01. That's it. Next, we want to we have to select the region. What is region? Region, that means, see, it is Microsoft Cloud, right? Microsoft Azure Cloud. That doesn't mean that all these services, all your server, what you will avail from Microsoft, that are kept somewhere in the cloud. Not really like that. Those are kept in a physical data center. Somewhere in the world, it has kept in a physical data center. You are accessing those resources over the internet, right? So that is the main concept of cloud, and that is the beauty of cloud. Okay, that means this server, whatever virtual machine you will create, this virtual machine somewhere will be kept in a physical data center. So it may be any part of the globe, any part of the world, right? So in that case, you have to select which country or which region you want to keep your virtual machine. That means if I select here US, central US, right? That means my virtual machine will keep somewhere in a physical data center of Microsoft, which is located in North Central India. That is the basic funda. Okay, that is the basic concept. Okay, now availability set, that I'll comes later. Okay, as of now just keep it as default. Now here you have to choose the image size. That means here you have to choose the operating system of the virtual machine. Okay, what operating systems you are going to use, just select in the drop down. So here are lots of different varieties, different flavors virtual machines, virtual images are available. That means you can take a server with server 2009 data center, you can take server Windows 10 Pro, you can take Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, you can use Debian 11 Bullsys. Okay, similarly you can use SUSE, you can use Red Hat, you can use Oracle. So it's based on your requirement. So as of now we are going to create a Windows server. So I am selecting Windows Server 2019 data center. Now here one note for you all guys. See, if we want to create a virtual machine in on premises, right? So we have the option to choose the version of the Microsoft Windows Server. That means either you want to choose Windows Server Data Center Edition, or you can choose Windows Server Standard Edition. But in cloud there is no option, guys, I am repeating, there is no option to take the image of Windows Server Standard Edition. Always it should be Windows Server Data Center Edition, that's it. So I am choosing here 2019 data center. Next, here I have to select the size of the virtual machine. Now see, in the earlier stage, in this drop down, some virtual machine size is selected as default. See, the series is standard DC1S V3. So in this abbreviation I'll comes to later. Now just focus on the configuration. Okay, 1 vCPU, 8 GB memory. Now the price is showing as price unavailable, and one error is there, the size is currently unavailable in this location. Guys, remember one thing, in the cloud platform, all the services which are available in cloud, it is not necessary or it is not mandatory that all the services are available in every region, in every data center of Microsoft. Okay, maybe if you want to avail this virtual machine, maybe this may not be available in central US or north US. Okay, so if you want to use this size, then either you have to change your region, or if you want to use this region only, that means region is fixed for you. In that case you have to choose some different virtual machine which is available in that particular region. Okay, so I am selecting this. Let's check what are the images. So here is an VM which is 4 vCPU, 16 GB of memory, or 2 vCPU with 8 GB of memory. So let's just select. So this is available. See, the pricing is 11,660 rupees Indian INR per month. Or if you are selecting some different from some different country, you are using this from different countries, so the currency will be in your local currency. That's it. That is the only difference. Otherwise everything is similar. Now here is an option, administrator account. So this is actually the credential of your operating system. That means this will be the credential of your Windows virtual machine in this case. Now remember one thing, by default you can't use administrator. That means if you use the username as administrator, so it will see an error, username must not include reserved words. That means Microsoft never recommend that you will use this username as administrator. Okay, this is reserved by Microsoft, that's it. Okay, so here in that case I am using Azure admin, that's fine. See, username is available. Okay, next the password. So password, I am using one password. Now the concern is, see, there is an password policy. So what is the password policy? This value must not be empty. That means you have to enter one password for this particular user account. Okay, that means if you want to log in your Microsoft Windows server, then you have to enter some password, first thing. Second thing, The password should be alphanumeric. That means one uppercase will be there, one lowercase will be there, one number will be there, and one special character will be there. And the fourth one, which is very important, that is your password must be between 12 to 123 character. That means you have to use minimum 12 character in your password. So just let me enter my password. Now here I am just putting is at none because I want to show you some basic troubleshooting as well. So I am just putting it as none. What is it actually? See, it is asking you which port you want to open publicly. That means if you allow some port, that will be open publicly. Okay, I am selecting none. Next, disk. So in this disk, so by default Microsoft provide OS disk size as 127 GB. This is default. If you want to take a OS disk with 64 GB of capacity, you can't take that. See, by default it is as 128 GB. Okay, now let me choose the disk type. See, there are actually three options. One is standard hard drive, one is standard SSD, one is premium SSD. So what is the disk part? So that will comes to you later, because based on this tiering, your price will be your performance will vary. Okay, now let me choose standard SSD. Okay, and simply go to the networking. Now here are the options, couple of options are here, right? So I'll elaborate these points one by one. Okay, so that this can help you to understand the basic of the cloud networking, the basic of cloud as well. Okay, not only the virtual machine. So now the first part is virtual network. With the name, it is very clear that if you want to connect, say for example in your if I go if I compare the same thing with your on-premises data center, right? So in your on-premises data center, if you want to if you have, say for example, 5 number of devices or 6 number of devices, including computers, including servers, including switches, routers, whatever. Okay, sorry, including firewalls, including access points and all these things. So to communicate between all these devices, you need some network devices, or you need some network, right? Using which your each devices will communicate. Similarly, in cloud, if I want to communicate with one cloud resources, so there should be some network, right, using which I can communicate with my cloud resources, with my virtual machine. Okay, so for that, in Azure or in any cloud, so it give you an option to create one network that will be definitely in virtual, because this entire infrastructure is in virtual. That's it. So here either you can create, you can choose it as default, or you can create on as custom. Say for example, I want to create this virtual network as for my production environment. So in that case, I'll mark this as production VNet. VNet means virtual network. That is a service of Microsoft, and it is free of cost. Okay, Microsoft doesn't charge anything for this particular component. Okay, next there is an option address range. Address range is nothing but this will be your address space. That means if you select this CIDR as /8, that means you have this much IP addresses available you can use. Okay, that means it's a network segregation, or it's a subnet. Next you have to mention your CIDR. Okay, so say for example I am taking 2.0/24, sorry, this will be the name. Now inside this production VNet or production network, so I can have multiple servers, I can have multiple client PCs, right? So for server I want to, if I want to see, this is quite similar like VLANing in your on-premises network. So in your on-premises network, say for example you have a address space of 10.0.0/8, 10.0.0/8. You want to segregate this particular address range into multiple segments. That is called VLANing, right, in on-premises. Say for example, if you want to segregate or if you want to create one virtual LAN or VLAN for your HR department, you want to create one VLAN for your development department, if you want to create one for IT department. Similarly, here I created one virtual network. Inside that, what I can do, I can create multiple subnets, that means multiple VLAN segments. Okay, say for example I am creating one VLAN segment for my servers. Okay, so in that server I can use the production, I have to mention the sorry for the inconvenience. So here yeah, so here I have to mention the CIDR value, right, the LAN segment. Okay, say for example 0/24. Okay, that means my starting IP will be 10.1.2.1 and end IP will be 10.1.2.255, right? Click on OK. Next, it's basic, just I am keeping all these options as of now default, so that later we can show you what are the use of this, how we can change this, how we can troubleshoot this and all these things. Okay, now there is an option public IP. Definitely I am currently keeping one public IP. Okay, now there is an option server private. By default it takes the instance name, that means VM name. Okay, so I am proceeding for the management. I am keeping it as default because see there are lots of options actually. What are the options and how, what are the use of these options, right? So the first option is Azure auto shutdown. So what is the benefit of this? See, if you navigate to the info option or info button, see it is elaborating that configure your virtual machine to automatically shut down daily. That means why we basically use this. Say for example you have one virtual machine which is development, which is using for development only. That means your developers, they are using that virtual machine, that's it. Okay, now your developer works for say for example 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, after that there is they are not using that virtual machine. Okay, that means your virtual machine is utilizing only for 8 hours in a day, right? And if you keep it turn on for 24 hours, that means you are paying for 16 hours extra. That means 8 hours you are using that virtual machine, and for the rest of the 16 hours your usage is zero, you are paying unnecessarily. So in that case what you can do, every day you can turn off your virtual machine. Now you have two options, either you can log in into the Microsoft portal and you can turn off the virtual machine every day, or you can just create a schedule. That means if I enable this, what will happen, the particular time frame that you will mention here, this VM will shut down, and if you want to send a notification, then you can enter the mail ID where you will get notified before turn off this virtual machine. That's it. Okay, so here I don't require this option, so I am just I just skip this. Okay, now the option is backup. So for this backup we can enable it later, or we can configure the same at the time of deployment. So in this case we will configure this later. Okay. Next, the site recovery or disaster recovery, DR, that is a part of backup as well. Okay. Now guest OS updates. So guest OS update, if you enable this option, right, so in that case what will happen, your machine will be patched by Microsoft automatically. As soon as Microsoft will release some patch, it will install in your virtual machine automatically. Now the concern here is, by default many of the organization doesn't recommend this to enable. Why? The first thing is, if you have a production environment, you have a production application running on this virtual machine, so it will install the patches automatically, it will reboot the virtual machine automatically. That will be cause a production downtime for your entire production, right, or for your entire business. That is the concern one, why we are not enabling this. The second concern is, maybe some of the Windows patches are not applicable for this particular operating system or for this particular application. Maybe the version of the application is not supported with this particular Windows patches. So that's why we are not using and we are not recommending this option. Okay. Next, monitoring. So in this monitoring, it's very simple part. Three options are there. One is alerts, diagnostics, and health. What is meant by that? So alerts means whenever if you configure this, so in this case alerts means we know that whenever there will be some alert rules, that means whenever CPU percentage will be greater than this, you will get notified via email. Okay. The disk usage, the memory bytes, and all these things. Okay. Whenever this will cross your threshold, you will be notified via email in this specified email IDs. Okay. That is the usage of this option alert. So currently we are not configuring because we don't require this right now. Okay. But this is very important for your production machines. Okay. Dropped. Next, boot diagnostic. What is it? In Windows there is an option, right, boot diagnostic. So in this boot diagnostic case, what is it is saying that if you, that is one kind of, in Linux we call this kdump or kernel dump. That means during the boot, if your machine fails due to some XYZ reason, okay, so in that case Microsoft is asking where you want to store the log first and whether you want to enable the boot diagnostic. That means if you enable this option, right, and you are storing the logs, and tomorrow if your VM crashes, okay, and it started to boot and it got crashed, so what you can do, you can find the logs from that storage account, you can read the logs, you can find the exact root cause. So that is also very important. As of now we don't require, as this is our development or this is our practice session, so we are just keeping this as disable. Next, health. Definitely health monitoring, this is also option where what we can do, if we are using one application inside a virtual machine, say for example it's a web browser based application which is running on port 80 or port 443, what we can do, we can simply enable this option and we can configure and we can give the extension of that particular application path. If it is a, say for example HTTPS, okay, so what we can do, we can enter the port number, we can just enter the application path. That means https:// what will be the application path, that means the URL of that application, and you can save it. What it will help, it will check in a certain time interval, say for example 2 minutes or in 5 minutes, frequently it will starting check to access your application whether this is accessible or whether not. So this is also very important for your production. Okay. Next, advanced. Next, here also some custom script, this will discuss later. Okay, because this option, this custom data and user data, this is very important, we will discuss later, and this is much more useful. Okay. Next, tags. Now some of the organizations, they are basically not using, some of the beginners who are using clouds, they are not using tags. Okay, but this is very important to identify your resources, to identify or to segregate your resources from one to other. This is quite similar, or this is quite similar helpful as we have earlier discussed, like resource group. In resource group, what we have done, we keep all the resources for a specific application inside a particular resource group. Here what we can do, we can tag all the resources which are associated to this virtual machine. Okay, say for example you are using this application for a web server, then you can just simply create a tag like this, application name. What is will be the application name? Say for example e-commerce. Okay, then you can also mention as created on, you can enter today's date as well. Okay, then you can review and create. So this will be a summary page where you will get to know all the entire things. Now there will be one option, yeah, see, now there will be one option, that is pricing, right? So validation is passed, that means whatever the required documents, required details you have to enter, so you have already entered. Now there is an option, that is the pricing of the virtual machine. Okay, so that means if you are choosing this virtual machine with Microsoft image, Windows Server image, you will be charged for $15.9734 per hour. Just scroll down, you will see all, you can see all the basic details which you have entered earlier, and then you can simply click on create. That's it. Now you can see here the notification. Okay, initializing the deployment, that means deployment has been started and it is submitted. Okay, now just see this terms, it will help you to understand what is going on in the backend. Okay, that means you have sent a request to Microsoft Azure to create a virtual machine with this configuration. Microsoft Azure portal has submitted, okay, through some API and something like that. Now the deployment, that means the creation of the virtual machines with the required configuration is in progress, that has been started. See, so server created, its VNet has been created. So all these, right, these are considered as a resource. Okay, it is considered as a resource in cloud. Now the server one virtual machines, it started creating. See, first public IP has been created, security group, that will comes later. What is security group? Then virtual network I've configured, a virtual interface, network interface, that means NIC card. Okay, now the virtual machine creation is in progress. So it will take a time. As soon as it will be created, I'll come back. So see the notification status now, the deployment has been succeeded, that means my resource has been created. Okay, now there is an option, go to resources. Okay, just click on that, it will navigate you to the particular server. Okay, now the question is how you will able to connect, right? So now as we are using public IP, right, so we can connect this virtual machine over the public IP over the RDP. Let's connect the virtual machine. Okay, and in this case I'll elaborate you some troubleshooting as well for the connectivity part. Just copy this virtual machine, copy this IP address. Now two options to connect this virtual machine. One option is from here, you have an option, just a drop down, click on connect. So in that case what will happen, you have to download one RDP file. Okay, just save this in the downloads. Okay, go to that RDP file, just double click on that and click on connect. Now here the concern is it is not connecting. What could be the root cause? The first thing is you have to check whether this particular port, see it shows us a error, either server is not remote access is not enabled, or the computer is turned off, or the computer is not available on the network. Okay, so in that case, first what you have to do, you have to check whether you have allowed this port RDP 3389 in this particular server or not. So that is the main or primary reason why you are unable to connect this virtual machine. So in that case, what you can do, inside this left panel, see there is an option networking. Okay, if you are unable to find this option, no need to worry, there is a search option, just type here is NSG, that means network security group, that is network settings. So what is NSG? This is similar like your Windows firewall. That means using this you can maintain all your inbound and outbound traffic for this virtual machine. You can mention which traffic should come from which network and what will be the action. Now see, there are two options, one is inbound, one is outbound. So in inbound, by default everything is blocked. See this rule, deny all inbound. What is meant by these two? So for this we will have a separate session on this particular part, NSG. Okay, we will cover that in that part. Okay, so as of now, what was the error? We were unable to connect this virtual machine over the RDP. So in that case, you need to allow this port RDP, that is 3389, for this virtual machine in incoming port. Why incoming? Because you are trying to connect this server outside of Azure network, right? So how to create? Just there is an option, create port rule. Just click on this drop down, inbound rules. Source you can specify, or as of now we are keeping this any because we are in public network. Source port range thing, destination. Now you have to mention the destination, you also mention the IP address, okay, the public IP address of this server, or you can see any. Now but remember guys, these two options, any, this is never recommended for any network security point of view. Okay, this is never recommended. So you have to mention the source from where you want to connect, you have to mention the destination, to which server you want to connect, and you have to mention the service as well, which service you want to use. If you keeping this as any, what will happen? It will gives attackers, hackers, a bigger surface to attack on your virtual machines, to attack on your environment. Okay, now click on the service. What service I required? RDP. Okay, what I want to do? I want to do allow. Okay, just give a name, RDP allow. Sorry, it doesn't take any space, so just move this. Now click on add. Now again, see the rule has been created. Now go back to the overview page of the VM. Now there is an option public IP. You can again try with that downloaded RDP file. Just click on that. Let's see what happened. Copy this, click on MSTSC, Microsoft Terminal Service, then click on connect. Let's see it shows you a pop-up with the connect. Right now here, use the credential. So what I have did, I have just copied this and I have just entered it, okay, in the RDP section. Now let's see what happened. Oh, my VM is ready. Now here I can build my application easily. So thank you guys for joining the session. I hope you have enjoyed this and lots of things has been clear to you. If any queries, any concerns, then you can drop your queries in our YouTube channel, in our Facebook channel as well. Thank you to all as of now.